York Rangers clinch a playoff berth and reach 100 points on the same night. The New York Rangers now 47-20-6 with 9 games remaining. The Rangers have already clinched a playoff berth, and that was the goal this season. Did I expect them to do it? I was unsure. I thought it'd be right on the borderline, and wow, was it well above that. Well above that. The Rangers get in easily. Never would have thought that would happen, and it's a tale of pre-deadline and post-deadline for me. Although, to be fair, maybe a tale of two halves where I really feel like for the beginning of the year, Igor Shesterkin was really carrying this team with other really good contributions by some of the top players. Example, Chris Kreider from the start of the season has been tremendous, as well as a lot of other guys. So it's not to say that it was just simply Igor, but the Rangers weren't playing well. Then, eventually, it's gotten to the point where the Rangers have just been a very, very good team, a really, really strong team, and the record shows. And this is a night of celebration. This was, like I said, a foregone conclusion. This is just, it just happened to be tonight, and I think it's cool that they also reached that 100-point mark as well, and do it in a win, and do it in a dominating win. The interesting thing is the Rangers have done so well this season, but yet haven't really won many games easily. They've been very clutch for the most part, which I think is a very good characteristic, but there haven't been many games where they could just kind of breathe easy. This was one of them, although this is another comeback win because Ottawa did score first. So that's where that stat can be a bit misleading, but it is the truth. The Rangers did not score the first goal, but this was definitely what appeared to be a fun night at the Garden. Some really good individual performances. Artemi Panarin, really the star of the night. 3 points, gets the goal and 2 assists. He looked tremendous. And I think ever since around the time that Andrew Kopp comes into play, Panarin's game has picked up a bit. And so that Panarin-Strome-Kopp line has been very strong. Kopp, he is really that missing link on that line that the Rangers have been kind of hoping for. It's been Panarin with Strome, and Jesper Fast. There was some effectiveness there for sure. And then they tried Colin Blackwell, and we've seen Kakko there, and they've tried different things. But Kopp's a good fit on that line, and Andrew Kopp scores tonight. And Chris Kreider is the other story. Chris Kreider scores 2 more goals, up to 49, 1 away from 50. Seems like that's almost a given. And I think if he can somehow get to 50, then you have to start talking about, can he reach that 54 goal mark, which is the all-time Rangers single-season record for goals by Jaromir Jagr. So that won't be as easy, but that's 5 goals in 9 games. Like, in a nutshell, it can be done. But I think I'm curious to see when Kreider can get number 50. The sooner the better, obviously. But so in terms of the individual performances, really Panarin and Kreider specifically were really, really good. And Igor was not tested. The Rangers just simply outplayed Ottawa. Ottawa, who gave the Rangers some problems when they went to Ottawa, some more low-scoring type games earlier in the season. This one was not so. The Rangers really just came out and dusted them. And so now that leaves the Rangers tied at 100 points with Carolina, but Carolina does have a game in hand. And that game in hand will be tomorrow against the Anaheim Ducks at home. A game that you'd think Carolina would win, but they have been struggling, which then leads into a very big Carolina Rangers game on Tuesday at the Garden. And the Rangers will play Carolina again at the Garden. They have not played at home against Carolina this season. And I want to give my thoughts on the standings after we discuss this game, because it gets very interesting. But as far as this one goes, like I said, the Rangers, they really came out strong. First things first. So Tyler Mott, as was feared, sounds like it's a significant injury. Could it be a season ender? I guess, but maybe not. And maybe it depends on how far the Rangers go in the playoffs. But with Mott, I think it's a shoulder injury, is my guess. And so he'll be out. Philip Hedl is also out as well. It sounds like his situation isn't quite as bad, but for me, there's a little bit of a fear that Hedl won't be in just with the way the Rangers have been. Maybe it's like a Ryan Strome situation where Strome ended up missing about 4 games. Maybe it's of that variety. So Mott and Hedl out just as Kakko and Rooney come back. So Kakko and Rooney in the lineup, and that's good to get them back going with, this being their 10th to last game. Will give them enough time to get reacclimated. And I felt like, a little bit of rust there. Kakko, I thought was a little rusty. Rooney, I thought was all right. Rooney wasn't really great with the faceoffs, but I thought that Kevin Rooney actually looked pretty fresh and was skating pretty well. So I liked his game. Kakko, first game back, a little rusty. But other lineup changes, Reeves in for Brodzinski, and you can understand why that would happen. I almost feel like Rooney coming back is good news for Ryan Reeves, as they had played a lot on the same line this season. And of course, with the Tyler Mott injury, that's going to open up time for Ryan Reeves, which, I think you play him in spots. He should not be played regularly. So he comes in for Brodzinski. And on defense, Justin Braun slots back in for Nemeth. And I thought Braun-Schneider pair was all right. Like I said, that's going to be a situation where it's going to be 2 out of 3. Nemeth, Schneider, Braun. One's going to sit out, and so they're trying to figure that out. And I think it makes sense to just test away as much as they can. So the Rangers do allow that first goal. Austin Watson scores a 2:22 to give the Senators a 1-0 lead. And this was the Goodrow-centered line with Lafreniere and Kakko on the wings. And Braun and Schneider, I believe, were the defensive pair as well. So not the best combination. And I didn't think that Goodrow looked good in the middle between Lafreniere and Kakko. I don't know what the solution is. Obviously, when Hedl comes back, that will open some things up. You might see the kid line, although I don't love the defensive play of that line, but I think it's a natural fit, because right now you're not going to tinker with the top 6. It's that set up, and you're not going to mess with that. So it kind of left the line of, as I mentioned, with Goodrow at center, it just didn't look very good. And so I'm wondering, I know this sounds a bit crazy, but you have to, I don't think it'll happen, but does a Kevin Rooney or a Johnny Brodzinski get a look in the middle? Not that it would matter, because you assume that Hedl comes back, but that line was the one line that I did not love. And I'm curious to see if they find a way to somehow change that, but I don't know if you can. As long as Hedl's out, I don't know if you really have much of a choice. So Ottawa takes that 1-0 lead, but the Rangers really played a strong first period. They were absolutely dominating, and they eventually score. It's a goal by Artemi Panarin, his 21st of the season, unassisted. But give credit to Strome and Kopp. Strome wins the faceoff, but Kopp doesn't touch the puck, but he pressures the Senator, and it forces the puck over to Panarin, and he scores. Not a great goal by Anton Forsberg, but hard work paid off there. And that line had a good night. So Panarin ties it up at 1, and that would be the score end of 1. Rangers outshot Ottawa 12-3 in that period. The Rangers had there was 2 penalties in this game, 1 by each team in the first period. The Rangers were unsuccessful in the second period. The Senators were unsuccessful on their power play. And in the second period, at 6:56, it is a goal for Andrew Kopp. And I believe the stat was Andrew Kopp in 10 games as Rangers has a point in 9 of those 10 games. And the one that he didn't, I guess, was the Islander game in which they got shut out. And even in that game, he came close to scoring what should have been kind of a point-blank goal. But Kopp, 17th goal between the Winnipeg Jets and the New York Rangers, a beautiful assist by Artemi Panarin, and Keandre Miller gets the other assist. So that line responsible for two goals for. And it was a really nice shot by Kopp. Great pass by Panarin, and Kopp really sniped it. And he's just been such a great addition to this team. So that makes it 2-1 Rangers. And a few minutes later, it's that guy, Chris Kreider. And Kreider tonight, it wasn't so much the loose change, dirty goals. It was nice shots, nice snipes. And Kreider gets his 48th goal of the season from Ryan Lindgren and Mika Zibanejad, gives the Rangers a 3-1 lead. Then, with about less than 3 minutes left in the period, it would be a 70th goal of the season, not for Kopp, but the center on that line, Ryan Strome. Ryan Strome, a beautiful pass by Panarin, and an assist to Ryan Lindgren. So that's 2 assists for Lindgren on the night, who was the third star of the game. And Panarin, with his 67th assist, just flat out insane. He is now up to 88 points on the season. Just his 9th 3-point game of the season for Panarin, who really looks to be playing very well right now. And so the Rangers had that 4-1 lead going into the third. And the Rangers had severely outshot the Senators through 25-9 shots on goal in favor of the Rangers. Ottawa played a better third period, but was held off the score sheet. And before the game was out, Chris Kreider scores again. Kreider, 49th goal of the season, 1 goal away from 50. Really nice assist by Frank Vetrano. Another one of those really nice additions by Chris Drury, and Justin Braun gets the other assists. And again, Braun looked pretty good, and you want to get him acclimated to that left side because maybe that's where he'll be with Braden Schneider. But the Rangers win 5-1, one of their easiest wins of the season, really dominant. And the Rangers now clinch a playoff berth officially and are up to 100 points on the season. As far as the standings, the Rangers, like I said, tied with Carolina in points. Carolina has the game in hand. So the Carolina has a leg up as we speak right now, but really it comes down to those games at MSG versus Carolina, 2 more. The interesting thing is this, that there's a couple of factors here. If you're a Ranger fan, would you rather play Pittsburgh or Washington? And I say Washington because Washington is 4 points behind Pittsburgh with 2 games in hand. So that is a legit race right now, where Rangers-Penguins seem like a foregone conclusion that was going to be the matchup. It might not be now for a number of reasons. You have 3 interesting races that I'm looking at. Rangers-Carolina, Pittsburgh-Washington, and Boston-Tampa. Right now, Florida is going to be that 1 seed in all likelihood in the East. Who they play, it'll probably be, it looked like Washington or Pittsburgh, one of those 2 teams. Toronto right now looks pretty destined to at least be in that 2-3 spot in the other division. So where that leaves you is Boston or Tampa finishing in one of those wildcard spots, which is where Carolina or the Rangers could factor in whoever wins the Metro division. So I have to say, I would rather play Pittsburgh or Washington as opposed to Tampa or Boston. Tampa, I especially would not want to play. Here would be kind of my ideal scenario in some way, and that would actually be for Carolina to play Tampa. I still fear Carolina. That's why these games will also tell a story and could change my mind, but I really think that Carolina playing Tampa in round 1 is actually ideal. I really think Carolina versus Boston, let's just say, I think Carolina takes care of them. I don't mind the idea of playing Tampa in round 2. I don't want to play Tampa in round 1 and then Carolina in round 2, for example. So in some ways, winning the division would be a great accomplishment. It really would be. And getting that home ice through at least the first 2 rounds, that is something as well. So maybe an ideal situation would be if it's Rangers versus Boston, I guess. That could be a situation that I could be on board with, where Boston, let's say the Rangers win the division, and they would have home ice. Let's say they've played Carolina round 2. There's a lot of scenarios right now, and that's what makes it interesting. So as much as I want the Rangers to do well, I have to say it might be more beneficial for the Rangers to finish in second in the division. I always like to say, be careful what you wish for. So that's why full steam ahead. I hope the Rangers continue to, keep their heads down and, win hockey games, especially in a huge game against the Hurricanes. But I don't know. It is getting interesting where Pittsburgh especially seems like a favorable matchup, and Washington to a lesser degree. So I really think that this will be definitely something worth monitoring through the last 3 weeks of the season. And that all kind of begins with what will be a huge game, Carolina Rangers. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. Maybe I'll be like, look, you know what? Rangers can play against Carolina. Because I'll say this, the 2 games at Carolina, Hurricanes were the better team. Rangers did win one of them because Georgiev was unbelievable. But maybe the Rangers can play well against Carolina at home, and then that'll make me say, look, you know what? Maybe getting that home ice is what you need. That's kind of the good thing here, is that if you beat Carolina, it will catapult you to getting that home ice potentially. If you don't do well against Carolina, okay, just as well. It doesn't really matter where it is, home or away. So everything kind of will take care of itself. And so we'll see what happens. But to close it out, really, really proud of this team. A team that had not made the playoffs since 2017. And the Rangers are safely in the playoffs. And, for the cherry on top, they reach 100 points flat. And we still got 9 games to go left in the season. So Definitely it's fun now, but in over 3 weeks' time, it's going to get really serious and it's going to be fun. I miss what it's like for the Rangers to be in the playoffs, and those games are going to be intense, nerve-wracking, but I'm here for it. So, congrats to the New York Rangers on getting back to the dance.